Pace is dropped for Tuesday Thoughts here at SDH, Soccer's Morning Show. John here, you there. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. And the rundown will go in a couple of different directions. It is, obviously, we got to talk about Messi and Friends. You know, Messi and Friends happened yesterday in Al Hilal. Morning, Alex. We'll get into the 7-goal shootout thriller, the extravaganza that was there. I swear it looked like it was on a mini pitch, just how you had the drones and all the cameras and everything. 7-goal thriller, and our philosophy of taking the over when it comes to everything Messi and Friends held true yesterday. And they also got an injury that they've got to work out with the Sergei Krivtsov. So we'll keep an eye on that. So we'll talk about Messi and Friends. Obviously, 2 days left in the window. We'll talk about a lot of stuff going on with transfers and Premier League and almost a continuation of Prem and Proper, the review from yesterday. There is some news out of England as well. I've never been known to do a 12-hour tequila drinking binge. I don't know. Maybe friends of yours might. We get details on that and the financial fallout therein. Once again, we talked about this particular individual yesterday, but we do have games actually to talk about. So we'll go into juice boxes in hour number 2 and get you ready for what's going on in the Premier League. We'll reset all the standings and get you prepped for everything. Rough day for Wrexham yesterday. For those of you that follow the FA Cup, they were 1-1, and then it was 3-1, then it was 4-1. So FA Cup dreams in for Wrexham at Blackburn yesterday at Ewood, and it was that was the end of that particular round. We'll get you ready for round 5. World Cup 27 visits are going to be happening in this particular hemisphere at the end of February. That's from Asif Burhan. According to Adam Crafton, there will be no summer series like we had last year with the Premier League. Teams want to do their own deals. They want to have their own streaming. They want to be in control of the content. And you can understand that. So there's plenty of that to go around this upcoming summer. Pay attention to your own team. Your team will be coming here to the States, but it won't be a big thing like we've had on the networks and all the presentation, everything like that. At least not yet. So we'll keep an eye on that. There's a lot of news involving Italy. It looks like Antonio Conte has been convinced by Zlatan Ibrahimovic to take back over at AC Milan. So if Nick can join us later today, we'll get into all of those discussions and figure out what in the wide world of sports is going on and get you the latest there. News from Atlanta United. Ashton Gordon signs with the Twos. And I know that some of you have had the chance to see him in academy work and with what we saw this past weekend in Birmingham. And so that was a treat to see Ashton kind of skying, and then all of a sudden you come out of Birmingham, you sign a contract with the Twos. Very, very cool stuff there with Ashton Gordon. So Ashton Gordon adds to the Twos roster coming up for Steve Cook and everybody getting ready. MLS Next Pro coming up before we know it, man. I mean, it's going to be coming up on us really, really quickly, and it'll be once again another fun season with the Twos as we keep an eye on things with them as well as that continues to grow up at Fifth Third Bank Stadium. So I guess all of that, qualified for opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching and not listening to us on tape, watching either on our YouTube channel, the Twitch, or the 280-character app. Once again, thanks to Abby for doing a better version of a QR code than I do. So that's your QR code from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into youth initiatives and cool things that they have earmarked. So, once again, thanks to our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's the QR code. Dive in if coffee is your thing today. All right. Morning, Alex. Morning, Tom. Morning, Nix. Morning, Dell. Tuesday, 4-mile run and done. You are a braver man than I. I take a 4-mile walk every Sunday on premise. Usually takes me about an hour and a half. Dell probably took you about half that to actually move your feet a lot faster. See, now I'm more Nix than I am Dell in these situations. Nix, walk from my bed to my desk, roughly 20 feet, feel accomplished. Absolutely. I'm right there with you, Nix. Morning, Harry. Dell says that Ineos is hoping to appoint a new director of football at Manchester United. I'm sure that Drew Dickinson will be very, very pleased about that. And apparently, Pars put a bookmark in this one, anticipated best 11. It appears that the Glazers, each of the Glazer individuals with that last name, on your photo ID card that when you wander into Old Trafford and you got your photo ID and you sit there and you flash it to security at the front desk when you're going through all of the machines, the X-ray machines. There are 6 Glazers that, according to the Sunday Times, looks like they're going to make out with 150 million pounds each. When that particular deal goes through, they will not be hurting for cash. So there are 6 Glazers, and they will be making 150 million each. Congratulations, more power to you. And I'm sure a lot of folks are sitting there saying, even though Sir Jim Ratcliffe has only 25%, don't let the door hit you on the way out. I mean, you still get to hang around. I think you still get to vote a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, everybody's going to be like, bye, see ya. It's all good. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. And we're walking. AFCON continues to be crazy. And yesterday it was had another incident with VAR. We'll get into that. Pars, anticipated best 11. What I will do is I will post this question to the floor because one of the individuals that would be in the best 11 is going to be a topic of conversation going forward. So for me, all things being equal right now, here's how I would lay it out. The battle for training camp between Brad and Josh will determine your keeper. Left or right when healthy. That's what we're getting into. We're building here. Left to right, in a perfect world healthy, it is probably Caleb, Luis, Stian Gregerson, and Brooks. Midfield, Almada, we'll put a circle around that because we're going to be talking about it in a second. So Thiago, Muyumba, Bartosz Slisz. Then it's probably Xande Silva, Gigi, and DJ Crazy Times. So that's what I'm looking at for my best 11. I will pose that to the floor and let everybody put their best starting 11 in there. Quick reminder, by the way, and this was just announced, so I guess I probably should hit the breaking news sounder, and I want to get all of the information correct before I say anything. So, once again, literally, this just happened before the show started this morning. So we'll get into we'll get into all of this. We are going to have a post-game show in Athens. Post-game show. Reminder. We're going to have that discussion. Post-game show in Athens at Creature Comforts Brewing. Saturday from about 6 to 8. SDH will be there breaking down the Memphis match. Look at the rest of the preseason. Remember, after the game in Athens, it's going to be in Tampa, and then it's going to be in Miami. 2 in Tampa over a 4-day period. Jason will be down there for those on the stream. And then you're going to have the one behind closed doors in Miami with Sporting Kansas City. And so that's the rest of your schedule. But Creature Comforts Brewing, post-game show in Athens, 6 to 8. On the pavilion at Creature Comforts in downtown Athens after the match. Be there, book 'em Dano. Aloha. Creature Comforts, post-game show, 6 to 8, Saturday. Jason and the Merry Band will be there. The boss called date night. So I will be in Birmingham, but I will be watching and listening and regaling from afar. So there you go. Creature Comforts Brewing, Saturday, 6 to 8 after the match with Atlanta and Memphis 901 with our friend Stephen Glass. So that will be a fun one coming up this weekend. So you have been summarily warned. Go to Creature Comforts after the show or after the match. So that literally happened just before everything broke this morning. The show came on this morning. So there you go. All right. And yes, Maddie will be there. And Maddie Cruz on the 1s and 2s. So it'll be Maddie, Jason, and anybody else that walks in the door. So everybody but me. That's how this is going to work. Everybody but me will be in Athens. So we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah. So all right. So tickets, Pars. I think it's sold out. But let me double check real quick. Pars, we only differ on Wiley, Williams, Gregerson, and Brooks. Okay, so let's see if tickets do exist. And what I'm gonna do here is I am going to check first through Atlanta United, and then I'm gonna check through the University of Georgia because it's on their campus. So if we go to schedule, and it is a club friendly presented by Piedmont. And so Piedmont Healthcare is your presenting sponsor, and it might be sold out. It actually might be sold out. All right, so UGA soccer. Let's see if we can do it that way. Let's see if we can do let's see if we can chase it this way when it comes to venues and things that are a part of this. Buy tickets. Let's see if we can buy tickets to Georgia Dogs and e-venues. Log in basketball, football, gymnastics, non-ticketed items, SeatGeek, buy or sell tickets. I think it looks like all of the tickets got taken up for this one. So if you can find them, we'll keep an eye. Yeah, and Tom says, yeah, and this is what I think. Tom, I would agree with this. Pretty sure they all sold it on the pre-sale of the season ticket holders. So, not necessarily a surprise. So, yeah, and this was like almost an instantaneous thing. So that's where we are. All right. And once again, that was opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, QR code for those of you who are watching on a bunch of our different platforms and networks, on the YouTubes, on the Twitch, and on the 280 character app. Okay, now to the fun part that we went through yesterday. All right, now I know that a lot of you have been talking about this on Twitch Pitch this morning, so we're going to walk through it and take it a piece at a time. And as we like to say, we'll sit here and we'll workshop this. So it started yesterday with a bunch of different folks. Started actually with Joel Bland. And we'll, once again, this time of year, use caveats. 2 days left in this window, and we will use caveats. We always use caveats in transfer windows. Joel Bland is a freelancer who's had work featured in the Times, the Sunday Times, with TNT and Metro Radio. So yesterday, Bland posts the following. Transfer update. To complete at least one incoming as well as one player sale. And I know that Maddie has been paying attention to all of this too. As in Newcastleian, and we'll talk to Dylan about it tomorrow. Transfer update. Newcastle looking to complete at least one incoming as well as one player sale. Movement fully expected over the next few days. Final plans have been communicated to PIF executives. Remember, Rich will bookmark the True North Footy thing because that's something else we got to talk about. Club will consider bids. Remember, Newcastle is in a world of hurt over FFP, financial fair play. The way that it works in the Premier League, you can only report a negative of £105 million over a 3-year rolling period. So if you're in violation of that, which Nottingham Forest may be, and Everton may be, I know, sorry, Tom. That's what's currently being investigated right now about Nottingham Forest and Everton. After the first year of the rolling 3-year window, Newcastle was over $70 million in operating loss. So that means that over the next 2 seasons, as things stand right now, you could only report 35-ish million pounds in loss and still be in the good graces of the Premier League when it comes to financial fair play and with European football. So Newcastle has some work to do. It's going to have to be, and Eddie Howe has said as much about this, because with your injured starting 11 and the folks that you actually have who are healthy and have 2 functioning arms and legs, it's been difficult. It's going to have to be player outbound for player inbound. That was, remember the whole Kieran Trippier thing about going to the Bundesliga, and that fell through. That was a part of this whole discussion. It's been a part of this. Callum Wilson, moving on, a part of this discussion. So paragraph 2, club will consider bids for Almiron, Wilson, and Lascelles, although the Saudi Pro League window does close technically today. Almiron stated he's not yet keen on the move. Stance could change, though, understanding that long-term he'd like to go back to Atlanta. So, put that sentence and that paragraph off to the side. Approach likely to be made for Onana, although EFC very keen to keep him until summer. Deal could be difficult due to limited time scale. Philip Billing has been identified as an affordable replacement to cover Joelinton, while Morgan Gibbs-White has also been discussed and scouted. Club very much desire a young, versatile forward, an ongoing target from last summer, but prioritizing a box-to-box midfielder this window. Club held preliminary talks with Lucas Bergvall's reps, but Barcelona now on the verge of signing the 17-year-old. So, now, here's the deal. Here's where the other elements in this come to pass. And it came from a couple of different places. Gianluca Di Marzio, Hernan Garcia Grova, and Teise all jumped on this. Gianluca Di Marzio, Sky Italy. And he jumped on this yesterday as a part of all of his discussions. And Gianluca Di Marzio, as we know, is one of the tier ones. 1.8 million followers on the 280-character app. And by the way, he mentioned earlier this morning, Fiorentina's in the race for Gio Reyna, trying to get him on a loan. A new contender along with Marseille and Nottingham Forest. So Gianluca Di Marzio yesterday mentions Thiago Almada. And Fiorentina being interested in Thiago Almada. Once again, Hernan Garcia Grova was not the only one that was attached to this. Di Marzio had Fiorentina asking Atlanta United about Thiago Almada. Yesterday, they asked. Atlanta said, apparently, according to Di Marzio, $25 million. According to Di Marzio, the $25 million valuation might be too high, might be too rich for their blood. They could try again later today. Hernan Garcia Grova, backing this up, Fiorentina asked conditions for Thiago Almada, world champion with Argentina. Atlanta requested 25 million euro for the footballer. And then you had Grova quoting Mattia Zuppo. And Zuppo would be one where you got to keep an eye because less than 1,000 followers. But once again, he's going off of Zuppo. Zuppo's going off of the information of Gianluca Di Marzio. So Di Marzio, the headline, Fiorentina also pulls Almada from Atlanta United. They've made an offer. Fiorentina looking for a winger to string in Vincenzo Italiano's attack. And once again, this is translated. in these last few days of the transfer window. Last few hours, and this is yesterday. Camiso's club tried for Gudmundsson from Genoa and Valentin Carboni from Inter, but both offers of $20 million were rejected. However, the Violets also looking abroad. In addition to the profiles of Ruben Vargas, Brian Rodriguez's survey was also registered in the evening for Thiago Almada of Atlanta United. The American club's request is around $25 million, currently too high compared to the Violets' valuation. And it goes into details of Thiago Almada. So that is the DiMarzio version of what we were looking at, seconded by Hernan Garcia Grova. And then Te'ise also jumped on it as well. So that's what you're staring at. Right around $27 million US for Thiago Almada. Now, you've got about a day and a half left in the window. What do you do? The other element in this was Miggy and Al-Shabaab. Remember all the discussions about the Saudi Pro League, the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor really discuss when it comes to TV and standings and things. So Ed Aarons yesterday, Almiron set to stay at Newcastle as Al-Shabaab failed to meet the £30 million price tag. Negotiations between the clubs end without a deal being struck. Like I said, this is Ed Aarons yesterday. Miguel Almiron looks to stay at Newcastle this month after Al-Shabaab failed to secure a deal for the Paraguayan. Newcastle had been open to selling Almiron if the Riyadh-based club could match the £30 million valuation following lengthy negotiations over the last week after an initial bid of £17 million was rejected. It's understood that Al-Shabaab, who were set to complete the signing of Ivan Rakitic from Sevilla, could not reach an agreement. That means, once again quoting Guardian, Eddie Howe's hopes of bringing in any new signings this month will rest on other players departing the club as Newcastle attempt to remain within the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules, FFP. An approach from Bayern Munich for Kieran Trippier rejected earlier this month. Callum Wilson yet to attract any bids after also being put up for sale. I'd seen that Callum Wilson was being looked at by teams in Italy. I thought AC Milan was a part of this. Almiron missed the victory over Fulham over illness. Howe confirming Monday he could be in contention to face Villa today. We certainly hope to have Miggy with us. Timothy Weah rejected a potential loan move to Everton from Juve. And so Sheffield United also looking at Sekou Mara from Southampton. So, all right. So Miggy to Saudi Arabia did not go. Did not go. So Miggy's not going to Al-Shabaab. Miggy still is in Newcastle. He's still a part of their pay structure every 2 weeks. The question then is, could you possibly, going off of what Joel Bland said, accelerate the timeline if Fiorentina comes to the table 25, or maybe even if it's a little less, if you still get a percentage of the pass, then knowing Thiago Almada's desires about wanting to play overseas, if Fiorentina comes close, or if they're off and you still get a percentage, do you do it? That's the question. So if you end up with Thiago going to Fiorentina, then you end up with, say, 20 to 25 or 20 to work with. Remember the initial evaluation from Al-Shabaab, they were looking at 17. Of course, they're going to sit there and say, and right, Al, and this is the thing. And Alex, you're spot on here. You said long term. Why would Miggy come back right now, scored against PSG in Champions League this season? Michael Ruiz enjoying breakfast, listening from Brookhaven. Thank you for listening this morning from Brookhaven. And Alex, like I said, that's the key here. According to Bland, it would be long-term return. But once again, if you could accelerate the timeline, then once again, this falls to Miguel, who once again, young child, comes back to a place where he is loved, adored, all of that. Could you accelerate the timeline? That would be the question. Yes, Bland did say eventually coming back to Atlanta. He comes back, they build a statue, all that stuff. But if Thiago exits to Fiorentina and you have a friendly deal partner in Newcastle, the biggest name on the board for you would be Miggy. So then, once again, Almada out. Biggest name on the board that could help you in that same position would be Miguel Almiron. The question, once again, would be for Miggy and his family. Do you leave Newcastle and come back here? So that's where all of this is. Remember, we talked about when it came to the early returns on the thought of Almada leaving in the first place. You had to find the individual that could take Thiago Almada's place. All of that stuff where he could have been going to Atletico Madrid. Correa goes to Saudi. And if that's going to happen, that's going to happen today. Atleti then decides to go the route of Moise Kean on a loan, far cheaper than anything that would be, working forward anyway. So that's where we are here in all of this. And it looks like, according to Teise, looks like Genoa and Inter might be a part of the discussion as well. So that's where we are with Thiago. And Dell, this is the thing. So we're taking what we saw from Joel Bland, Gianluca Di Marzio, Hernan Garcia Grova. All of this information, we can piece it together. If Thiago goes to Fiorentina, you need a replacement. You need a replacement ASAFP. Then, like I said, biggest name on the board with a familiar dance partner would be Miggy. And it would basically be a wash financially. And even if it doesn't look that way initially, remember, if you were to send Thiago off and still have a percentage of the pass, that he is once again going to want to be in La Liga one day. So if Atlanta goes 25-27, that's what we want. But then if you get 20 and you get an obscene percentage on the pass that you get to hang on to, then you can turn around and kick the tires with Newcastle and go, okay, hey, Miggy. Then you bring in Miggy as a DP, and you can buy down Saba Lobjanidze, because that was, from the beginning, how Saba's deal was structured. It was structured to be in a situation where if you needed to buy Saba down where he's high TAM and you needed to bring in a DP, you could do that. So that's where we are with all of this right now. Keep an eye on Fiorentina for the next day and a half. Keep an eye on Newcastle for the next day and a half. And if the numbers are close And once again, as you have said in the Twitch pitch this morning, Dell specifically is a part of this. Don't see Miggy coming back from the Prem unless the wife really wants to. You're closer to home. You've got a young child. Yes, everyone in Newcastle loves you. Alex, I know this. Alex can vouch for all of this. Yeah, and Emilio Almiron's salary at 2.2 million pounds. I mean, like I said, Saba's base was 2, but it was structured to where he can be bought down. And really, if you're a DP, then you could pay the guy, whatever. I mean, we know what DPs are making with Messi and friends. So that's all a part of this. But for the next couple days, day and a half, technically, keep an eye on your sources in all of this. But yeah, it would probably come down to whether or not Miggy would want to return that quickly. But once again, Newcastle needs to make moves to stay in line with FFP. Trippier didn't work out. Miggy is one of the biggest assets they have on the board. Lascelles was mentioned. Callum Wilson was mentioned. The pieces in conversation, Thursday night. Big Ben goes boom, and Peacock is running Sky's coverage. So by the way, Peacock is running Sky's coverage. For those of you that have Peacock, from noon until 7. So 7 o'clock Thursday night. So keep an eye on your sources. Watch the numbers. Watch the numbers of the sources. The numbers of the sources. Keep an eye on all of that. But when you have Gianluca Di Marzio, Hernan Garcia Grova looking at Fiorentina and Thiago Almada, and then we can piece together over here, once again, you have the Italian theater, you have what's going on in England, and you have what's going on here. You have to work at all 3 pieces of this. When Di Marzio and Herman Garcia Grova sit there and they're talking about Thiago Almada, those are tier 1s. Keep an eye on the tier 1 sourcing. Joel Bland is not a tier 1 source, but take the information for what it is in that case. But when you have Di Marzio and Grova discussing Almada and Fiorentina, those are tier 1s. That's stuff that you got to pay attention to. Bookmark, follow them, whatever you need to do. Set your notifications for Thiago Almada, Fiorentina, what have you. Teisei dropped another couple of clubs in there. If Nick can join us in the next day and a half, we'll get to discuss the structure of Serie A and where he could fit and what would work and those kinds of things. So keep an eye on your sources discussing things in Europe. We know what the situation is with Newcastle in the Premier League. And we know what the situation is here in Atlanta with Thiago Almada. We know he wants to go. We know he wants to go to Europe. We get that. Miggy's not going to Saudi. Newcastle has to make moves. So there is a triangle here that you've got to pay attention to for the next 2 days. And Dell, for domestics, listening to Tommy Scoops is not a bad thing. And we can go over what Tommy Scoops has had to say over the next couple days a little later on. Big piece of news for those of you that believe in the E. Pedro Neto, Paulo Neto has signed a multi-year extension. Considering all of the awards that man has won in short order, Atlanta United kept him as their esports stud. Paulo Neto, he destroys people. Multi-year extension. He's going to represent the club in EMLS and Global EA Sports for 24 and 25. His 5th with the club. Proficient also returns as the club's official gaming partner. Skate Knopsinger, CBO, a couple of sentences from her. Still waiting for details on the 24 season. Pair of trophies in 23. EMLS League Series 1. Won MLS Cup in 22. Followed that up with winning EMLS League Series 2, a third three-time EMLS trophy winner, first to capture trophies in 2 separate seasons. Reached the semifinals of the CONMEBOL E-Libertadores, world champion when he and Brazil E-National team dominated FIFA E-Nations Cup after beating the Netherlands in the final. So, 4-card, the gaming stuff. Yeah, the gaming stuff. I was. I mean, a 4-card, like I said, after I'd kind of told us all to keep an eye on what's going on with Thiago and Miggy, Atlanta United re-signed their esports guy. So it's big stuff. Yeah, esports. Paulo Neto, he destroys people. But so this morning, put out your anticipated best 11s. Pars is asking for it, so I'm going to ask you for it. Give me your best 11s. Dell says that Charleston's supposed to sign a defender and a striker, announcing a Canadian player today. Let's see. Pars says we only differ on Wiley, Williams, Gregerson, and Brooks. 4 out of 11. That's not bad. So let's see. So Rich, let me go through True North. Let me put that here as a part of the rundown. Pars, can we afford him? Do we do a messy deal? Wouldn't necessarily be a messy. It wouldn't be a messy deal. He's a DP. You pay him whatever you want as a DP, but the outlay would be about the same. And that's what we were trying to get into with the cost benefit analysis here. Like I said, if Fiorentina can pay 25, or if they pay 20, and you get an egregious percentage of the pass, and then you want to bring Miggy in, like I said, Al-Shabaab first through 17 at the table. I mean, your transaction with Miggy would end up zeroing out, I think, from what you got versus what you'd be getting back. I think it would end up, I think it would zero out. Tom, afford to buy him or afford his salary? If it's salary, yeah, he'd have to be a DP. And so Emilio was like 2.2. Emilio had it at 2.2. And Pars, the signing of Almiron would have to affect the U22s. That is true. And I think you would have to. Let me see. We were talking about that, and Jason had the paperwork. He had that all figured out with the U22s. Let me see. Hang on just a second. Because there is, I think you would have to, if you went all 3 DPs, you'd have to have one less U22. I think, yeah, you'd have to get down. All right, so here's the discussion that we had yesterday about it. Buy Saba down to open the spot until, say, Thiago fully transfers out. But then you'd also need to get down to 1 U22 by the summer, unless you get Miggy as a TAM. So that's it. You would have to, if you sign Miguel as a DP, you've got to get down to 1 U22 if that happens. So that's how it would affect the U22 spot. Tom, this was always the fear that someone comes in late, we don't have time to replace it. Only positive to that, so we can probably make do until the summer when there are better options anyway. Let's see. Kind of. They might live there, but at the same time, Dell, they're making a boatload of money, endorsements, all that kind of stuff. That you are living fairly decently, doing that kind of stuff. Nathan DeSantos from Riverhounds, so he didn't want to stop. He didn't want to continue to get yelled at by Bob Lilly, so he goes from Pittsburgh to Charleston. We can probably still hear Bob Lilly yelling, by the way. So that's the Miguel Almiron, Thiago Almada discussion for the next 2 days. Just remember, Tier 1 sourcing, Thiago outbound, being looked at in Serie A. We know this. But once again, Miggy, piecing these things together, you can piece it together, but once again, Thiago, 25-ish is what you're looking for unless you get a piece of the pass, and it's a big one. Or the further away you get from 25, the larger the percentage. Then Would Miggy want to come back? And then could Atlanta and Newcastle, who are friendly dance partners, agree on a price? So that's your dynamic and all of the ifs and buts. And if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, all those kinds of things. So that's what you're keeping an eye on. Thiago outbound, yes. Serie A, looking like a couple of clubs are interested. So we'll keep an eye on all that stuff. So there you go. That's your Thiago update. But once again, this morning. 4-card. Almada had a game in South America. How do you complete the deal in medicals before midnight tomorrow night in Spain? Oh, you want a medical? You get a medical. 4-card, that's one thing. When you want to have something to work, you'll get it to work. Unless, of course, you're Brentford and you're chasing after the 18-year-old wonder kid Nusa when you had an agreement with Bruges for 25, I think, and you beat everybody to the punch. You got Nusa, you beat Spurs to the punch. You beat a bunch of folks in. You bring Nusa in for a medical, and there's concerns with his knee. So getting the 18-year-old wonderkind from Bruges for Brentford is not going to happen at this rate, at least not at the financials that were discussed initially. So we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff. Oh, he's got a game tonight in South America. 4-card, you want to get something done, you'll get something done, trust me. The 18-year-old, Nusa. Like I said, hey, that's what he's being referred to as. I took the predicate noun and just laid it out there. That's what he was being referred to as. But Brentford ain't happening. Emilio used the same medical team that passed DEJ. Okay. So once again, I will pose to you. Yes. Wonderkind. Yeah. No, Wonderkind. Yeah. Wonderkid. Nick. Yes. Nick Muhammad. Is that what he said? Yes. Wait, can we start over? No, this is live. Nick Muhammad was amazing. Completely and totally underrated in that series. I know everybody was looking at Jason Sudeikis, Brendan Hunt, everybody. Nick Muhammad, underrated in Ted Lasso. Absolutely underrated. And you got to see his comedic chops. I don't know how many of you got to watch the Hannah Waddingham Christmas special on Apple TV. You got to see his comedic chops, too. Very, very cool. But, yeah, Wonder Kid. But, Thomas Frank would have had it right. Thomas Frank would have gone Wonderkind. Wonder Kid. It's live. Can't do it again. All right. All right. So I will pose to all of you this morning. He was just hanging around. What's your starting 11s? Since it was brought to the floor, give me your starting 11s this morning. Let me know what you think. And this is all things being equal. All things being equal. Give me your starting 11s for Atlanta United. Sorry, I have to properly hydrate here in between thoughts. Like I said, we'll get into transfers and Premier League and all that other stuff in hour number 2. We'll get into that because we get games today and games on Wednesday, games on Thursday. Traffic. Tomorrow, we'll have Dylan Butler at 10 o'clock, and then we'll be joined by Ian Cameron, the head coach of South Georgia Tormenta, as they get ready for training camp. Their first day of training camp is on Thursday, I believe. So first day of training camp for Ian Cameron, a lot of changes, and the start times came out yesterday in USL League One. So we'll have Ian Cameron come on at 10:30, and we'll discuss what's going on with South Georgia Tormenta, one of the toughest leagues around, USL League One. And so what we'll try to do is we'll try to catch up with as many coaches in the footprint as possible before the season starts and get you all locked in, because in League One, remember, you got a new coach in Greenville. John Harkes has moved on, and it's a season of transition in Chattanooga as well. Great season in Knoxville that they had with their first season. Lexington's blowing out the salary cap in USL League One, signing Cameron Lancaster and about 98 other people. So see what's going on at Lex SC. A lot of stuff going on in the Southeast there. We'll see if we can catch up with Ben Pierman. See if we can catch up with Tommy Sohn. And it could be online, it could be live, could be on tape. Just depends on how we can do it. But we're going to try, Del. We're going to try to if we can't have the guys on, if we can't have the coaches on live because traditionally mornings are practice times. I want to try to do as many 1v1s with them as we can before the season starts. So it might end up being a lot of stuff on tape that we roll over to the network. But yeah, I'm going to try my ever loving damnedest to try to get as many of these coaches on as a part of what's up as we get ready for the 2024 season. So plenty of stuff there. And we've got a lot of other interviews that we're chasing because of everything going on in women's soccer and in USL with teams that are being announced, that kind of stuff. Also on the board, remember, today is Tuesday, which means a week from today, it's the beginning of the high school football schedule or soccer, whatever you prefer. The Tuesday night throwdown starts at the Big Orange Jungle, Peachtree Ridge and Parkview, February 6th. That is the start of our schedule, and we got a lot of games. Got a lot of games and a lot of different nights with a lot of different teams, and it's going to be really fun to push all this stuff together. Next Friday, that first Friday, the 9th, it's going to be Roswell and River Ridge. That reminds me, I've got to call AD Justin West and discuss things with him. Parkview, Peachtree Ridge and Parkview 4 card is going to be our season opener next Tuesday, the 6th. Next Tuesday, the 6th, is going to be the Tuesday night throwdown, Peachtree Ridge and Parkview. That's where we're going to Tuesday, the 6th, we're going to do the boys game and the girls game on SDH. On the SDH app, go through Spreaker, do a Soccer Down Here search. You can pick it up there unless you're an OG and you have the Soccer Down Here app. Then you can also listen to it at soccerdownhere.net. So Peachtree Ridge and Parkview, February 6th. Then Roswell River Ridge on the 9th. Clarkston and McIntosh on the 13th. Just the boys game. Then on the 16th, Chapel Hill and Alexander. And before that, on the 15th, this one will be really special. J.L. Mann out of South Carolina coming to Johns Creek. So the first 5 games on the schedule. The 6th, Peachtree Ridge and Parkview. The 9th, Roswell and River Ridge. The 13th, Clarkston and McIntosh. The 15th, J.L. Mann and Johns Creek. The 16th, Chapel Hill and Alexander. So that's the first 5 dates for the high school football schedule, FUTBOL. The high school football schedule. We're going to be in a bunch of different places. We're going to be in Dalton on February 27th for Northwest Whitfield in Dalton. If you've never been to that rivalry, it is knock down, drag out, 80 minutes worth of haymakers. Northwest Whitfield and Dalton will be in Dalton for that. Looks like we're going to be in Perry in Middle Georgia on the 15th of March for Griffin and Perry. Looking at that one. Then, as I sit here and look at the board, I think Milton and Lambert's on the list, and Maddie was happy about that one. Clarkston, Druid Hills, we're looking at Druid Hills and McIntosh. We're going to have a couple of dates with Johnson, Gainesville, soccer, soccer in February and March and April. Dalton and Johnson, Gainesville, we will be there for the Whitfield County Hall County Challenge on the 23rd of February. Dalton and Johnson, Gainesville, catching up with Frank Zamora. And also Baylor and Johnson, Gainesville. Baylor out of Chattanooga and Johnson, Gainesville on April 1st. Druid Hills and McIntosh on April 10th. So that's just a little bit of the schedule that we have. We're going to be in a bunch of different places this year, covering a bunch of different teams. February, Tuesdays, Fridays, and some specials in between. March, Tuesdays, Fridays, specials in between. First half of April, get you into the playoffs. And traditionally, we're good until like the second round of the playoffs or semis whenever we can get there. But a big high school soccer schedule coming up here on SDH. And thanks to all of the schools that have been really cool about wanting us to come out and hang out with them this season. So that's your promo when it comes to what's going to be on the SDH network. And we might have some announcements about some other stuff. But yeah, big high school schedule starts on February 6th with Peachtree Ridge and Parkview. Dell wants Cohen and Net to start things off. It's going to be a camp competition. Absolutely, it's going to be a camp competition with Brad and Gazan and Cohen. It's going to be a camp competition. So and then you'll have Quentin Westberg getting reps, and John Berner is going to be your starting keeper this year, I think, for the twos. Got him from Huntsville City. So it'll be really interesting. And like I said, 2 seasons coming up just around the corner. So when we know more stuff about the twos, we'll let you know about that as well. So, all right, where are we? Oh, all right. So since Rich let us know, because we were talking about everything going on in Canada with how screwy things have gotten with Canada Soccer Business and the TV deal that blew up and all these kinds of things. Messi and friends, all that discussion is coming up next. So Messi and friends from yesterday, we'll talk about it coming up. Apparently, from our friends at True North Football, the CPL has put together a proposal to Canada Soccer for the Can Champs. Matchups are set to reduce travel costs. Your Whitecaps and Forge are supposed to get a bye. And here's the proposal from CPL to Canada Soccer for the 2024 Can Champ, considering things are pretty screwy right now. No draws. There's no draw. There's no draw. Period. Okay. Matches would be set based on reducing travel costs. Okay, I get that. Matchups suggested: York United, Simcoe County Rovers, Vancouver FC, Victoria Highlanders, Halifax Wanderers, CF Montreal, Halifax to Montreal. That's still a bit of a haul. Saint Laurent, Toronto FC, and then you have Atletico Ottawa, Cavalry, Pacific, and Valor. The Whitecaps, who won in 2023, and Forge, who won CPL in 23, would get a bye to the second round. Early May start could allow Halifax and Cavalry to host due to their grass pitches and cold weather conditions. League also discussed about possibly having 2-legged matches in the second round, unknown if it would continue in the later rounds. CSA is still reviewing the proposal. MLS teams are against it. Understandably so. So, just when you thought things couldn't be any more entertaining with what's going on in Canada, we get that. Good Lord. It's a mess. Canada Soccer is a mess. We probably should get Dwayne Rollins back on just to kind of break things down and see where things stand. It looks like Bernadeschi might be heading back to Serie A, but once again, if that's going to happen, it's going to happen next couple days. And there are teams that are interested in Bernadeschi, and he would end up going back to Italy to play. No real surprise. All right, yesterday, I don't know how many of you saw it, but it was Messi and friends on the road in their globe-trotting that continues of their 100,000 miles worth of travel, and they lose 4-3 to Al Hilal. And so, of course, wasting no time, you click on the story on MLSsoccer.com and you get a pop-up window about the Messi Insider, getting the best Messi coverage straight to your inbox. I think that's going to be a hard no. Hey, Nick.
Hi.
Did you see Messi and Friends yesterday?
No.
No.
Why would I watch it?
Because it's Messi and Friends.
Okay, great. Look, I know it's we are supposed to be we're supposed to be like all soccer all the time, and we're all supposed to be dialed up with the I watch every game no matter where it is. But I'm sorry, it's it's Messi and Friends in the Forbidden Zone.
Yes, it is. It's definitely the Forbidden Zone.
Okay, so why would I watch anything in the Forbidden Zone?
See,
if you're not going to watch something, don't watch something.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents on it. People can do what they want. I don't judge people by what they do, typically. But I stick to my own my own level of business, right? So my own business, I stay 10 toes down on the things I say I don't watch.
Yeah. So Rich says he's still trying to figure out this rising tide lifts all boats idea that MLS has with Messi and friends.
Well, the rising tide idea is theoretically that people from around the world will tune in and watch Messi and friends.
Yes.
And then they'll say, wow, the quality of insert team here is far better than what I thought it was going to be. I'll stick around for one more game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, and then you have, this whole idea of essentially, for lack of a better term, Messi's the gateway drug, right? Messi's the weed that gets you hooked on MLS cocaine, right? That's how it works. But it's not going to work that way because Messi's 2 steps short of a religion. And, you're not going to substitute a religion with a cult. It's not, that's for a smaller group of people. So I don't know. I get the Messi and friends. We're going to go on the magical mystery tour.
We got to get that.
We do this whole thing, but I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I don't. I don't believe the rising tide raises all boats in this situation. Not in this format anyway, because it's not Messi and friends and then 3 or 4 other MLS teams. It's just Messi and friends. Right.
Al Hilal won yesterday 4-3 in a game that truly was on the moonshine that is created like up in the most obscure part of the mountains. That it's the most difficult to get to the particular still, and the revenuers know that they can't even get there. It was a special kind of shine that this game was on yesterday.
Right.
Al Hilal, Mitrovic scores to make it 1-0. They're up 2 goals in 3 minutes. Miami scores, Luis Suarez. Woo-woo. They thought they evened it up at 2-2. They did not. The offside flag was up. Michael scored to make it 3-1. Messi scores a PK to make it 3-2. David Ruiz had an absolute bomb about a minute later to tie it. And then Messi gets subbed out. Malcolm scored to make it 4-3. So our thought pattern of just take the over on every possible Messi and friends game held true yesterday.
Yeah, I would rather drink Drano recreationally than watch that game. That's just my 2 cents.
And so you end up with you end up with that particular thing yesterday. And the defense was about what we expected with Messi and friends, even against Al Hilal, where it was porous. And I mean that in the most negative way possible. Not a surprise. And Sergei Krivtsov was injured yesterday. So the setup, I mean, Tata Martino is having to do some serious prestidigitation and trying to figure out lineups and how to shield Julian Gressel. And it didn't quite happen yesterday. So
this is what we told. Look, we tried telling this to everybody back in the day, and people either ignored it, just didn't see it, or they said we were psychos. When you run, like when Atlanta United ran that sort of offset 3-5-2,
yeah,
and you had Gressel up high, you had him sort of buttressed, to use an architectural term.
Yeah,
he was buttressed by Darlington Nagbe as a release valve.
He said buttressed.
And then he had Franco like directly behind him, because Gressel can do things really well. He can move forward, and he can deliver accurate crosses, right? There's no shame in that. Really, there's not.
No.
He can, his cross delivery, especially when moving, very good. However, anytime he was forced to stop and turn, he became a liability. The minute he was forced to stop and turn, he became a liability. In college, he was not a natural defender, right? He was a forward, if memory serves. And so, when you're a defender, you sort of have, if you are born and raised a defender, you have sort of natural instincts about when to close someone down. He doesn't have that. And so he has to be sort of directed, and there will be moments of lapse of judgment when it comes to close down. So in pursuit. So I don't know, like in Atlanta, he had people surrounding him that enabled him to play on the wing and push forward, where, Garza would be sort of your natural. Well, on the offset 3-5-2 on the left wing, he would be dropped all the way back. So that way you could shift to a back four if you needed to at certain moments, right? You didn't lose defensive integrity because Gressel was pushed so high. And because you had Nagbe there as an outlet to start the cycle again in case Gressel got pinned up, which happened. And then you had Franco behind him. You could deal with the risk reward of having Gressel so high. So he doesn't have that with Miami, right? In Miami, once you get past that vaunted midfield, it is a boat race to calendar. It really is. And so yeah,
it was yesterday, brother. I'll tell you that.
Well, Kefsey, I disagree a little bit on that simply because he's an attacking winger now. And college positioning, some colleges, the college coaches will just put players wherever. But I think in this case, he sort of became Tata Martino's Swiss Army knife. And I think that's where he discovered his true value, right? Where if you needed him to play forward, he probably could have. He probably would have been middle to average. But his ability to deliver accurate crosses, I think, really just cemented his value in Major League Soccer. But that doesn't come without having substantial challenges behind him. So
you ain't kidding, brother.
Okay. But that's why I think Tata Martino's going to have to figure out who his support system is, who Gressel's support system is going to be. When it works, it's going to look like bottled magic, right? It's going to look like, something that was delivered out of a factory. It's going to be so precise. But when it doesn't work, it's going to be an absolute disaster zone. I want to give a shout out here to Ramin. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Well, yeah, it's
Raminko, or is it Ramin?
It's Harry.
Harry?
It's Harry. Yeah.
Oh, Harry, how you doing?
Harry just goes with the San Antonio FC alias when he comes through off of the Twitch pitch.
Oh, roger that. Okay, I appreciate that. He's coming through with the big win here, man. Anytime somebody comes through and says, "Hey, by the way, check your bank accounts on date X to make sure you have enough cheddar to cover."
Yeah.
FYI, if you pay for MLS season pass, it comes out January 31st. So Harry with the big win on that one, by letting folks know that, make sure that, you got enough chicken in the account to cover that meal. So
absolutely true.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to, and no, I'm not going to watch if Messi takes on Ronaldo, because I saw the prime version of that when it was Barcelona, Real Madrid, right? If I had that, that's like going to have, eating dinner at French Laundry and then saying, okay, I'm going to go eat the Old Country buffet after that and say it's the same thing. It's not even close. So why would I don't know. Like, it's like watching old, like when these old wrestlers come out of retirement, like Ric Flair's last match. Oh, who's he going to take on? He's going to take on Jeff Jarrett. Okay. It's not the same. Like, I saw these dudes in their prime, okay, I don't know. I'm not in a negative mood today, but I just refuse to buy into the marketing hype.
Yeah.
And I refuse to buy in, and I'm not going to tell people that something is bigger and better than what it is. It's just not. I'm not. No.
It's old dudes on parade.
Yes, and I think it's wonderful. That's why they have tribute matches, right? So, like when Pirlo retired, You get a whole bunch of like old players together in a huge stadium. The stadium's typically packed out to the gills, and they play a friendly, and there's laughs and jokes and ha-has and all of that. I would watch a tribute match featuring those two guys. And I would like it at halftime if they, for a moment, were on the same team and said tribute match. I think that would be wonderful. But I'm not going to watch.
CR38 would want the ball all the time and he wouldn't give it up.
Well, which would be hilarious, right? They would pretend to get in an argument, and it would be hilarious and ha ha, yuck, 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 yuck. But I'm not going to sit there and watch the old country buffet of football and tell people that it's 5-star dining. I refuse to buy into that. If you want to watch that, by all means, please watch it, enjoy it, live your truth. I'm not going to stop you, nor would I even try. But I'm not going to sit here and proclaim it 5-star dining and it's Messi and Ronaldo. We have to watch it. No, we don't. That's not appointment viewing anymore. Demand better from your entertainment.
Yes. Before we get into Marcus Rashford and other things and the other news and the transfers, can you go into your Serie A notebook? Because we went into the discussion about Thiago Almada, Serie A sources, Fiorentina, saying that it looked like Genoa and Inter might be involved in this as well, and how all of this could play out for Thiago with 2 days left in the window.
You could find worse places to go. That's for sure. Fiorentina, they just got through building. I believe they just got through building it. It may still be undergoing final bits, but Rocco Commisso has built a substantial training facility out on the outskirts of Florence. Fiorentina is a beautiful. It's a classic stadium. The stadium really needs tremendous work. Don't get me wrong. But Florence is a wonderful city and it's a beautiful place. Lots of great places to eat. But if you can't get into the top, if you can't get into the ATLUTD, if you can't get into the Premier League teams, Newcastle looks like they're going to be going on a fire sale.
Yeah.
You want to get to Europe, you need to come in at the mid-tier. And that's not a knock against Almada at all. I think the economics have shifted in such a way, as we talked about a few weeks ago on this very show. The economics have shifted. There's a paradigm shift going on right now when it comes to transfers, transfer valuations, and how that's going to work. Fiorentina knows a good deal when they see one, because if he goes to Fiorentina, he will be there for 2 seasons tops. Then he's going to go to either Inter or he's going to go to Juve, because that's where the best business relationships with Fiorentina lie. So it's a good opportunity for him to get into Serie A. I think he would do well there. I think that he has the pace. He certainly has the tactical acumen. And it's, Rocco is going to provide him with an environment that he has the full potential to be the star of Florence if he so chooses. It's a great signing for him if they can make it happen. I don't know if you're getting 25 million euro. I think you'd probably get something along the lines of, you'd probably get 20 million.
Piece of the past.
And then you get a pretty decent percentage of a future transfer fee. I think that's probably how that would work. You would probably have to start out with a loan with an option to buy, or a loan with an obligation to buy. They are sitting currently in 6th in the in Serie A. They need help, so I think it's a good move all around. We'll see how that shakes out, though. There are a couple teams in Italy that he'd be fine with. Naples Napoli's a nightmare right now. They're just plummeting. Lazio seems to be in a bit of a quandary as to where to go and what to do next. Roma's revitalized under Daniele De Rossi. Atalanta is Atalanta, but they have De Ketelare on that team right now, who's just working magic. I can't believe Milan fumbled that one. But De Ketelare has found himself at Atalanta thriving. You have Inter at the top of the table. They're good to go. Besides, they're playing with monopoly money anyway. Juve's resurgent, sitting at second. Milan, there's questions about if Pioli is going to be there or if Antonio Conte is going to take over, which I think is laughable because the guy.
But Zlatan is apparently convinced Conte, according to some published reports. Hey,
yeah, with what money to sign all the players Antonio Conte is going to want? Let me know on that one. But if you're looking for a place that's stable, which I think you are, if you're looking for a place where you can make a name for yourself, I think you are. Fiorentina, probably one of the better options for Thiago Almada. But Atlanta fans are going to have to deal with the fact he's going to be wearing purple. So
but purple is one of the colors. It is not the dominant color. So I don't think.
For Fiorentina?
I mean, it's like, but you've got white and red.
Oh, come on now. It's purple. That is the color. It's purple and red are the colors of Florence, sir.
I know, but it's not like purple and whatever else the purple team has on their outfit where they're like completely and totally purple. I'm trying to add colors to defray from the purple.
No, they're completely purple.
Okay.
They're completely purple.
Here's a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Have you or has anyone that ever gone on a 12-hour tequila drinking spree?
A tequila drinking spree?
A 12-hour tequila drinking spree.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 4-card is correct. It's violet, not purple. But
okay.
4-card.
Yeah.
I mean,
La Violette.
4-card.
Yeah.
We're talking to people here in the United States. I know it's La Viola. I understand, but they're not going to distinguish between. It's purple. It ain't violet. It's purple. What's the difference? I mean, come on.
Oh, no. There are differences.
4-card. We understand. We understand the difference, you and I.
There are differences. There are differences.
Yeah, I may or may not have it at certain times in my life. I mean, there was Bonnaroo where I killed a 12 case of beer and a half bottle of rum for the Stevie Wonder Jay-Z concert to close out Bonnaroo.
Wow.
I didn't do too well the next day. There were a couple times in the Marines where tequila was, it kind of got religious there.
Yeah. Jarrett, I asked Nick, and I'll ask you, do you know or have you been on a 12-hour tequila drinking spree in your impressionable lifespan, sir?
No. God, no. But I also have not spent an extended period of time in a hostile environment where doing so might help preserve what sanity I have left.
Yes.
If I'm somewhere where the environment, where the weather and the environment is hostile in multiple different directions, and the human beings might be hostile, yeah, probably going to be a thing that happens. But I haven't had that situation.
This was in El Paso, Texas, so it was pretty hostile.
I was about to say that don't imply that El Paso is not hostile in its own way.
Nick says the night after Lollapalooza in the 90s, they got a hotel room and he finished a couple of pints of tequila. That was also the last time he drank tequila straight. And he says one of his friends went out to smoke, woke to an open door and shut it and locked him out for a good 30 minutes. Good job, Nick. That's how it should be. Reason I ask is because apparently, and this once again, this is from the 3-letter paper, so take the information at your own peril. A waitress tells the three-word paper that Marcus Rashford went on a 12-hour tequila drinking spree while in Belfast and had to be put to bed after passing out at 3 a.m. She also claims the England international invited her on his night out at Thompson's Garage Club after she served him lunch. Waitress tells the three-letter paper she joined Rashford and his entourage on Thursday night after the United striker allegedly asked her where they could go that would stay open later than 3 a.m. Quote, that made it clear to me that he had already made his mind up. He wasn't going to training on Friday. He had no plans to go home that night. The report adds that Marcus Rashford flew home to Manchester via a private jet at 7 a.m. Friday morning before reporting ill for training. And so that's why he apparently has accepted responsibility for his actions after being summoned for crisis talks with manager Erik ten Hag. And they had a disciplinary meeting after he reported ill. He missed the 4-2 win at Newport County in the FA Cup. United would not reveal what action had been taken, but the three-letter paper is claiming that he was fined 2 weeks' pay after being dropped for the Newport tie, a total of £650,000.
I mean, I'm just saying that, Teddy Pendergrass sang a song called Come On Over to My Place. But you got to be careful with that. You can't go and sing that song to the wrong people, because then they go to the three-letter and start blathering away. But if you are ever trying to make some moves, Teddy Pendergrass, come on over to my place. I'm just telling you, you put that on and it's showtime. But here's the thing. I will say this: when we were, and I put myself out there as the example not to follow. We were miserable in El Paso, right? So we would go to Cielo Vista Mall, and Cielo Vista Mall had a little Mexican restaurant with an outdoor patio area. And from the time that place opened until it closed at like 9:30, we were just gone. To drink at that level requires a unique level of self-loathing and sort of a corporeal becoming a corporeal graffiti artist, right? Like you are just trashing your temple, right? You're not. It's like inviting Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, and Billy Idol in the heyday over, and just slaughtering the temple, right? The level of loathing that you have to do that is next level. So I hope all is well for Mr. Rashford. But please don't think that you're going to be able to go out and find any of these ladies to go and hang out and party with you and have them not go to the papers. Okay? I get it. Just no. Do that in America, where no one cares who you are. All right? Show up in Manhattan and get slaughtered in Manhattan. There are plenty of flights back to Manchester out of JFK. That's it. You need a week off. I don't know. Say whatever. Then get on a plane. Hop to New York. Get obliterated in a half when no one cares who you are, and then fly back.
Obliterated in a half. Not just obliterated, but obliterated in a half.
Correct. Okay. I don't recommend getting that obliterated, let me tell you. But, you try doing PT the next day when you are that level of messed up, and I can tell you, it's a religious experience. I mean, you're asking people to put hands on you like the televangelist shows, man.
I mean, that to me sounds like you're going to need a little hair of the dog to get you through that one.
You're going to need something. I'm telling you. Whew.
I mean, that's got a special work for it.
Yeah.
Jarrett, we also in hour number one, we did talk about Miggy and Thiago and the possible the possible three-way dance with Atlanta and Newcastle and Fiorentina.
Oh God. Have we seen? I'm excited. Like, the potential is fun. Have we seen it talked about anywhere else? By another source.
Miggy coming home? No.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that the only element of this came from Joel Bland about coming home eventually.
It would be fun. Thiago feels much more interesting and realistic now. That kind of move, and this is more of Nick's territory, in that we are talking about Italy. Also, today gets really interesting, not even for Atlanta reasons, but for Miguel, because I believe today is the closing of the Middle Eastern window.
Yes, today is the end of the Middle Eastern window. That is correct.
So if he's not going to stay at Newcastle, he ain't going to the Middle East after, unless that gets done today. And it might, I think
Al-Shabaab came in.
I think he said no.
Yeah,
on personal terms.
Yeah. Al-Shabaab basically came in and it said, Al-Shabaab basically went to Miggy or to Newcastle and said, okay, how about 17? And Newcastle was like, well, no, 30. And Miggy was like, I ain't going. And they also couldn't agree on terms. So 1, 2, 3, check. Goodbye.
Yeah. And this is, again, more of like Alex's speak. Sorry, Alex. Of the Newcastle world. Like, I don't know how desperately they need him off the books. Or if it's just we would like to clear the space.
I think
we need to clear the space.
We need to clear the space, I think, is where they are because of, and we went through the numbers. Right now, over the next 2 seasons, they're only allowed to be 30 to 35 million under because they're already 70 million under and you're only allowed 105 over a rolling 3-year period. Mm-hmm. So you got to get some stuff off the books. And Eddie Howe has said we've got to bring folks in and take folks out, but they've got to improve their bottom line.
Yeah, and so if he doesn't do that, then you gotta figure out a move for him.
Yeah,
somewhere else, probably in Europe. I don't know, man. Maybe you get weird and like loan him back to a South American club? I don't know. That'd be fun. Loan him back to Lanús for half a season and then sell him in the summer. But again, the Almada thing is more Nick's territory because he knows Serie A better than I do, and I defer to him on it.
Yeah.
I know 25 was apparently rich. This is just me. I'll come to the table for like 22 if you want to throw on like a quasi-suicidal sell-on.
Yeah.
Like 35% or something. That sort of thing. Otherwise, you wait. And you also factor in what he wants. I believe the Atletico Madrid one was the move that he was really...
Yeah.
He really loved.
In an interview with Ole, he did mention that, yeah.
Not sure how he'd feel about Fiorentina. Not sure how he'd feel about Serie A in general. But you want him to go somewhere where he's going to be happy as well, and then you try and make it work. And it depends on how he feels about going to Italy.
Yeah. So that's what we're staring at here over the next couple of days. And first and foremost, as I'm telling Alex right now, you've got to whittle down that all injured starting 11 that you've got. You got to get healthy. That's the biggest thing. There was what was the other thing? Everton apparently has ignored many months of Premier League overspending warnings, according to Richard Masters. That we can get into that coming up in just a little bit. Reminder. If you missed it in hour number 1, it is 6 to 8. 6 to 8 on Saturday. 6 to 8 on Saturday at Creative Comforts. And it is going to be the post-game show, the post-game show.
Mm.
And it's going to be really cool. The post-game show at Creative Comforts with what is going on in Athens. And we'll talk about, 11s and things like that. One of the big questions that was posed this morning, guys, about Atlanta United, starting 11s. All things being equal right now, I think Pars put it out in the hour number 1. Starting 11s. All things being equal, Nick, what would your starting 11 for United be right now?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Give me the healthiest starting 11 right now. The healthiest starting 11 right now. Just build chemistry. Build chemistry within the second string. Even get some of the the real like the fringe players on who you can call up and get in. Give me as much chemistry as possible across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Give me as much chemistry across the board. I don't care who the starting lineup is. The economics of it right now don't mean anything to me, because if you spend a lot on a player and there's no chemistry, it sucks. If you spend a little on a player and there's no chemistry and they're forced to start, it sucks. Give me chemistry. I don't care about starting lineups. It's not a cop-out answer. It's what saves you middle of the season, late in the season, when injuries happen, when card accumulation happens. The ability to slot someone in your roster, your starting lineup, who is not a typical starter, and they have fantastic chemistry and you don't miss a beat. That's the hallmark of a championship team. That's why I want, just give me the healthiest starting 11, maximum chemistry building, fire away.
And Jarrett, it was really, really cool to see a moment yesterday for Atlanta United and for the twos. Ashton Gordon signs the official contract yesterday. He put pen to paper.
Yeah. I don't know how old you all want to feel this morning. Ashton Gordon is 16 years old and just signed his first pro deal. 16 years old. Take it back. That's 2008 he was born.
Sure.
That's after I graduated high school, so that's grim. It's just terrifying. Really fun player and this is when I talked yesterday about this current crop of academy kids kind of pushing their way. He's one of them. He's part of that. That was that U16 team that won an MLS Next Cup. Ashton Gordon was part of that program. And he's going to continue to push, and more of these guys are going to continue to push. They're also going to develop at different rates. It adds a different element to being a capital P problem for the strike side of the second team, because you're going to have Kareem Tamimi back, Tamimi's in his mid-20s at this point, who's been around the block, and I think could be a really good mentor for a kid like Ashton. And then, of course, you get Ashton joining the first team December 1st, 2025. But don't be surprised if more of these guys start getting these looks in this way, where it's like, hey, we're signing them to a second team deal. Show me what you got. And then, go earn that first team deal, that kind of thing. But it's very exciting for him. It's very exciting to see him continue to grow. And a lot of it for guys like him, guys like Johnny Vial, who will, just transfer. You just sold down to Mexico. A lot of it's going to be growing physically. Being physically capable of handling this level of game is where a lot of that growth is. Like, we can look at a guy like, oh, he's thinking fast enough. He's technical enough. You got to be physical enough to handle just the rigors of it and how you're going to get knocked around. And it's what I miss about the twos playing USL. And I know results weren't great when you did that. And I know it's a more even ground in MLS Next Pro, but there was a certain like trial by fire that came from having to play against adults and getting knocked around physically and having to toughen up and learning how to be that guy and learning how to fight through that. Those guys are going to have to deal with that physically. That's going to be it's going to be an interesting development for him and a number of those guys who are a part of that academy team and the future academy teams that are coming through.
Who else in your looking at the when you look at the roster for the twos, who do you think is ready to take that next step and get the next one to be signed on the line that is dotted? After Ashton's now in.
Yeah, and also I think Nick has something for us as well.
Well, true, he does.
But I'm trying to think who Sorry, I just saw Nick's message. I'm not sure who it would be from those kids, because I've already kind of queued in my head the people I'm watching. Like I'm watching Alan Carlton this year.
Yeah.
I've wanted to eat a peanut butter sandwich for 3. Just get physically bigger.
Yep.
Guys like that.
Get him the Martins for breakfast and lunch.
That'll put the weight on.
Dude, what's your Martin's order actually?
Mine?
Yeah.
I traditionally do the sausage egg biscuit. I want the sawmill gravy. If I feel like getting spicy with it, I'll do the tenderloin biscuit.
Okay.
What about you?
I do sausage link, egg, and cheese.
Hey.
Large cat head.
See, now you guys are taunting me because I have my physical this afternoon, and you're giving me your Martin's orders. That's not
a you
fun.
problem.
Why do you do a physical in the afternoon, John?
So I can do a morning show?
That's fair. As far as if you want other people to look at, Dominic Chunky is another one who you'll want to keep an eye on. Cooper Sanchez and the S tier name in this academy is Rocket Rita Rita. If he develops like he's capable of, Rocket could be very, very fun and very enjoyable to watch, and we would all just have a good old time.
Yes, we would. All right. Per request in the production queue, I'm getting my levels right. All right, Nick, hit me.
All right, for Luca Chili of Sky Italia, AFC Fiorentina is serious for Giovanni Reina, Borussia Dortmund.
Okay.
Between the clubs for the American offensive winger, 11 appearances and 271 minutes in the season for Bundesliga side. Mm-hmm. He is now the main target.
All right. So
Sky Italia, Del Schaefer.
Yeah. Yeah. Del's a happy man. But then we can also add what Del mentioned earlier in the queue. I had it kind of off to the side a little bit. And we have now you remember the original discussion about Thiago Almada?
Mm-hmm.
Atletico Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
Moise Kean's loan move has collapsed. He's injured.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't pass a medical.
Oh, wow.
So no Moise Kean loan to Atletico Madrid. So that window's back open now.
Oh, wow.
You seem shocked that Moise Kean couldn't pass a medical.
The medical is where deals go to die for a variety of reasons. So it's not just – you're talking about players who run it's like to the moon and back. There's going to be something on the medical report that can kill a deal, guaranteed. Every transfer that goes through, there is something that a team can find to say, kill the deal. Whether it's an agent comes in last minute with some kind of crazy request, extra payments to the agent, not to the player. Whether it is, a players or team's position changes. Somebody will come down to the medical staff and be like, hey, just find something. What do you mean? Just find something. Okay. What's this right here? Is that debris behind the fourth metatarsal right there? Yeah, kill it. Not passing the medical, pal. So, yeah, I'm not shocked.
Oh, boy.
I didn't see it going down where it failed at the medical, but I'm not shocked that the deal has fallen apart.
Okay. So, yeah, Forecard is saying that Atleti can't afford Almada, and that's why they, went down the road in the first place, where if you're dropping $500,000 to bring in Moise Kean on loan versus 20-something million to bring in Thiago Almada, it made sense at the time that you wanted to try to bring in somebody that could be one of those heavyweights that you'd sit there and go, yeah, bro, let's work it this way because it's a lot cheaper, and we'd have somebody that could help in the attack. But that did not work.
I mean, look, another thing that could happen is Almada's agent could have reached out. And this is all the land of like make believe and, hypothetical situations. And so the agent can go to either one at like Fiorentina or ATLUTD and say, hey, look, hey, ATLUTD, by the way, Fiorentina's reached out. We're making progress, and you may need to make something happen. They go, whoa, hold up. Where are we on that Moise Kean deal? Well, he's going into medical. Find something. We can't let, Mr. President, we must not allow a mine shaft gap. I mean, like we can't, no, I'm telling you, like you can't, nothing is off the table here. We can go full conspiracy mode. Have fun with it. It's transfer season, but I wouldn't be shocked if an agent reached out and said, hey, what's happening here? And you got to find money, dig in the couch cushions, either moves going out or moves not happening. So
for those that may not know, how big of a player is Jorge Mendes on the world planet?
Huge. He's a huge player. He's going to, when Mino Raiola left the scene, Mendes, I think, has stepped up as being like that sort of celebrity level agent who can make moves happen. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that Jorge is the one doing the negotiating. He's like a firm, man. He's got like people on people. So just because you're represented by his group doesn't necessarily mean that you're special, that you're a beautiful and unique snowflake. And look, I'll put it this way. If Gio Reyna has to go from Borussia Dortmund to maybe Nottingham to maybe getting loaned to Fiorentina, something's very wrong. I mean, something's wrong. I think it is, take that as you will, but there's connections there. Rocco Camiso, huge in the New York market. Obviously Claudio Reyna is big in the New York market as well. So there's avenues there where people can speak to people off channel and try to make moves happen. You have the agent there to get the stuff done, but I wouldn't be shocked if a loan move happens here. I think there's enough connections. Gio's a name. Obviously an American. Rocco Camiso, even though he lived in Italy until he was like, I want to say 12 or 13, American, wouldn't have an issue bringing an American onto that, into the club. Mm-hmm. Gio's, I think, good enough to play there. A loan move would certainly be cheaper than having to pay 20 million, or anywhere between 20 to 25 million plus a percentage of the pass for Thiago Almada. Maybe they found out that Thiago is off the table, because of whatever, he's going to Atletico, whatever. But this is a cheaper move and probably one that has more bang for the buck marketing perspective, which would make Rocco's eyes roll in the back of his head. So he would love all of this. They have pictures of Gio wearing violet and, walking the streets of Florence that would just do numbers. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. And I mean, it was, we have to look at, this is the time of year, Jarrett, where we've got to know anything and everything about financials and agents and connections and tier one sourcing and you've got to know all of your rules, or at least some of the rules in the league of your choice. And this literally is the time of year where you've got to have like 9 different tabs open trying to figure stuff out, because we've got 2 days left in the window for things that we talk about that may or may not happen. But that's the beauty of January. It
is. And again, always check your sources. Make sure
yes.
that it's not a Fabrizio Romano.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yes.
Make sure you have. Make sure you're not, following Adam Schlechter. Something like that.
Yes.
Because you're going to get a lot of really weird things over the next few days. Even this afternoon, going into tomorrow, the next few days. The Almada thing will be interesting because a lot of it hinges on, do you have someone to come in now and replace him?
Yes.
Because, look at the MLS window is different. Not all windows are created equally. They open and close at different times. They close at different times. But you got to have a ready replacement to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you move out one of the best players in this league, you need to have somebody who can come in. And
Russians don't take a dump stone without a plan.
Atlanta has to have that lined up and ready to go. And they've got guys scouted out. They've got ideas. You just got to know that if this happens, you got to have something ready to go and figure it out from there.
Yes. And that's that's where, if, like I said, Nick, we're dealing with the big if of possibly, probably, maybe, perhaps Serie A for Almada. You've got to have, and this is the other thing. It's not like you have a team, any team across the board, pick your favorite club, that if your favorite club makes a move of the player, capital T, capital P, it's not like they're just going to make that move and that player goes outbound and they're like, oh, crap, we've got to do something. Any good team worth their salt has already been working on succession plans for quite some time. It's just that with windows shortening, especially here to the end of this window, you're going to have to work a little faster than you normally would, just because of where the timeline is and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No good team is sitting there and going, oh, crap, we lost a player. Let's get somebody. No, there's been work behind the scenes of any team with their salt.
Yeah. And you can see when that happens, right? You can see when the teams do say, they go to sign somebody, and it's like, well, why on God's green earth did they sign them? For one reason and one reason only. That player's a pacifier.
Yeah.
That's there to keep that's there to keep the fan base from rioting. So that the team could go out and say, well, we signed player X. Aren't you thrilled we signed player X? But the fans are like, well, he doesn't fit. You don't know that. Our scouts think this is a wonderful player and that player X will help us win silverware, right? But the good teams have scouting departments, and they're asking questions like, what happens if this person leaves in this window? How do we stay competitive? Well, we make a move here. Okay, what happens if we don't make that move? Then we make this move. Okay, what if that doesn't work? Then we elevate this guy who's already on our second team, or this player on our team who's on our first team and can play either their current position or this other position that will be vacated until we can get this other person. So
Tom once again makes the point, if he went now, can't replace him, still think they're better options in the summer, and we can get by until then. You can pull a Seattle, as the CEO has been known to do from the soccer side of things, and you pick up guys in the summer window. It's just, it's happened before. You pick up all these summer acquisitions. Atlanta picked up summer acquisitions last year with William Ba and Shande Silva and Saba. You do that in the summer window and you see what happens. And now that you have them here with a full training camp and getting acclimated to everything, you do the same thing. We did it last summer. It can be done this summer. I see what, that's what Tom is getting into. Derek Gaddis, player X equals Aruju, Luis Aruju.
I would say Arujo was whenever you first made that move, you saw a player that had tremendous vertical speed excellent footwork, had the ability to break lines, and met the price point you were looking for.
Right.
It didn't pan out. So I would say that move, it would be hard for me. I see where you're going with it, and I see your logic. I really do. I'm not saying that with any sarcasm, but I just, in my mind, I think when I look at what they were trying to get and what they got, but it just didn't happen. Like, it didn't materialize. What you saw on tape, what you saw on game footage didn't materialize enough here. So I'm sure one day some employee will write an expose on, what happened with, with Frank de Boer, and what happened with Luis Araujo, and how those moves didn't fell apart, or things went sideways. I would love to read a tell-all book about that, but at the surface, I think you were hoping to strike lightning in a bottle you were hoping to get essentially Miguel Almiron with better feet. That's kind of the way I whenever I saw the tape of him, I'm like, okay, really fast, really good feet, has no problem going one-on-one. This is great. This is a great move. It just didn't materialize. I don't know.
A couple of other things in and around that, just for our own edification. The Saudi window, the Middle East window, closes at 4:00 our time this afternoon. So midnight local time, 9 p.m. in England, 4:00 this afternoon is when the Saudi window closes. So we'll keep an eye on that. Jarrett, one of the other transactions that I wanted to hang on to and wait until you popped in, it looks like, from our friend Darmish Seth at Sky, Jota from Al Ittihad to West Ham is now looking increasingly difficult. West Ham haven't given up on the deal. Getting the move over the line in limited time and the remaining window with the associated financial and tax implications is proving problematic. So Jota is at Al Ittihad.
He's not doing anything.
No.
I mean, he is kind of a victim of this boom of the Saudi leagues, in that, they went to Celtic with so much money, like overvalue, and just basically strong-armed him out of there. I mean, like, you offered offered so much money that, like, Celtic's not going to say no, because they just brought him in they had him on loan, bought him from, I believe it was Benfica, and then you get offered overvalue, and he was okay with doing it. He was going to make a ton of money. You were going to say yes to it, but then he just I don't think he was even registered for half the year, or if he was, they barely got him registered. Like he was going to get left off.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of a lost year for him. And yeah, man, it's just, I know there was talk about loaning him back to Glasgow, but yeah, it just feels like it. I hate it for him, because it just kind of feels like it's a lost time for him. Like, what's he supposed to do? What are any of these guys supposed to do if they get in that situation? And it's kind of, as much as we talk about, how much money you can make going and playing there, how tricky it can be, because you go to the wrong club and you don't stick. Well, yeah, sure, you can get paid a lot of money, but you're not going to play.
Yeah.
Then you're going to get stuck in these, like, transfer drama festivals.
Isn't that kind of like Bonnaroo?
Man, look,
the Bonnaroo of soccer.
Look, there's a lot of chaotic parts of this country that the world isn't ready for. Manchester, Tennessee is actually pretty high on that list. As if you just started putting people in Manchester, like, not even just Bonnaroo, but like Manchester.
Yeah,
that's a different kind of Manchester that they're not ready for. That actually, now that I say that out loud, Nick, we should host a friendly.
Yeah,
like Middle Tennessee.
Yeah,
or like 2 European clubs.
That'd be tremendous.
That would be wild.
Oh, that'd be great.
Actually, make them play in Paulding County.
Oh my God.
Post game at the Cotton Gin.
They are not ready for that.
Oh
They're
man.
not ready for it.
Oh, that'd be true.
Pre-game meal. We're going to reopen the Catfish Den on 92.
Ooh.
That'll be the pre-game meal.
Ooh.
Wow.
The players be running around like they had concrete in their stomachs.
Well, I mean, it would be concrete in their stomachs, sir.
Well, hey, the Catfish Den was a delightful place that,
great.
I mean, that in like the mid 80s looked like it should have been condemned, but
But it was open to the late 90s. It should have been condemned into.
right. But it when you needed a quick, tasty meal that was guaranteed to make your cholesterol spike, that was the place to do it.
We would pick it up on the way home, and like the styrofoam container that contained your fish would be drenched with oil.
Oh, yes, it would.
Like there was no structural integrity. You had to hold it from the bottom. The styrofoam no longer had structural integrity.
No.
Yeah, bring in like a bunch of dudes from Europe to play a friendly, and have them. That's the pregame meal. Yeah, they're not like you're going up to like, I don't know, like Belgium or somebody. Man, I'm sorry we didn't warn you. You weren't supposed to eat that many hush puppies before you went and played a soccer match.
No, you weren't. It's like the 90s sitcom I Learned Something Today music comes on, you know?
Yes.
That's the Full House. Today Michelle learned a valuable lesson.
A very important blossom. It was a very important blossom.
Yes, exactly.
Six and Blossom learned a lesson.
Gonna go walk off these calories at Arbor Place Mall.
Yes.
Walk off where? You would have to walk to San Diego to do that. It'd be like a dystopian science fiction film. Like, what are you doing walking off the hush puppies?
You're just describing Douglasville before they put in Arbor Place.
That's pretty much true. Yes,
because it was supposed to be Westlake Mall initially. It was supposed to be, you were supposed to have North Lake, East Lake, South Lake, and West Lake. And Arbor Place was supposed to be Westlake Mall, and the Stonehenge or whatever the hell it is over on the other side, out by Conyers, that was supposed to be East Lake Mall. Literally, it was supposed to be a chain, and it never worked out that way. But you sit there and you're like, okay, that was intriguing, and then all of a sudden you turn into Arbor Place, and then all the stores close. Andrew Marchand is leaving the New York Post and heading to the Athletic. That's a big piece of news where he's been writing about sports media forever, and so he's leaving the New York Post and heading to the Athletic. He made that announcement within the hour. So you got Andrew Marchand now leaving for the life of subscription television and subscription print and things like that. All right, so let's see. What is Rich letting us know about here before we go? University of Kansas will play its 2024 home football games at Arrowhead and Children's Mercy Park. They are spending $448 million to renovate their own stadium. They actually, when Les Miles got on campus, they realized that they needed to spend a lot of money on actual infrastructure. So this does make sense. I was waiting for the moment for this to happen. But yeah, Kansas is going to play at Arrowhead and at Children's Mercy Park. They probably should play most of them at Children's Mercy Park. And so we'll see what happens there. Have either of you seen, how much AFCON and Asia Cup have you guys seen?
0.
I don't have time. Unfortunately.
Thank
0.
you, David. Yes, David. Stonecrest, thank you. That was close. I was close with Stonehenge. I mean, come on now. And Ivory Coast and Senegal, they went to VAR yesterday. So Senegal, now, Nick, yesterday.
Yeah.
Senegal's leading Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is your home country. And there's a big article in The Athletic about all the facilities that were created and the help that they got from the Chinese government and Chinese construction companies and things like that to build all of these stadia for this particular tournament.
Yes.
Yesterday, your host country was trailing Senegal 1-0 late in the match. You have a penalty call late in the match. You get an equalizer. And, strangely enough, Ivory Coast is still in the tournament, I believe. So they're still there. They beat Senegal. They go to PKs, Franck Kessie, in penalties. So they get a late penalty call to send it to the extra 30. Then they go through the extra 30, go to PKs, and your home country continues to move on in the tournament after knocking out Senegal.
Is the idea that there is some level of shenanigans at foot?
I'm just maybe putting it out there.
Nothing shocks me, but here's the thing, and Four Card brings this up. Ivory Coast fired their manager after the group. The group stage.
They were that hot that they were having that many problems.
Right. So the only reason I have not been watching AFCON is because I've been editing video and trying to
kind of busy
do 50 million other things at a clip. So I have a choice. Either I burn my free time doing the show, or I use my time to watch AFCON. And so I have to be judicious with time. Okay. And so, no, I've not been watching it. Would this be the most absurd thing that has ever happened in AFCON? No. Is AFCON just one of the most wild WWE style tournaments in the world? Yes. So I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to VAR, and basically every Senegalese coach got a yellow card for chastising the center ref on his way to the monitor. It's like, no, this was not a penalty. No. You get the finger wags and people yell and everything. And literally, center ref turned into a blackjack dealer. Every Senegalese coach ends up getting a card. I think 2 Senegalese players got yellow cards in all of this with a handful of minutes to go in the 90. But yeah, he went full blackjack dealer. He's going bang, bang, bang. Everybody's getting yellow cards.
Yeah, this is gonna be one of those things we'll have to watch later on and see. Like when they go back and they do the expose. 5 years from now, they'll be like, secret payments. We'll all be like, okay, yeah, sure, of course, right.
Okay, sure.
Just like the South Korea World Cup in 2002. We'll get the exact same thing.
Yep. BN has your AFCON at noon and 3. Mali, Burkina Faso, Morocco, South Africa. Egypt is out, by the way. They lost on a goalie versus goalie PK. And Egypt's out the door. Uruguay, Peru is at 3. Chile and Argentina. So you get to watch Thiago Almada 6 o'clock tonight on FS2. Villa Newcastle's on at 3:15 on USA Network. BN and Espanol get you your simulcast of AFCON. You can get Fanatis where, Nick?
fantz.co/soccer down here.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. Whew, good. Oh my God.
Yes. fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps out the network, helps out the show, helps out all of us. And you get addicted to it. I blame Jason for doing that to me. Fox Deportes has Liga MX at 10 o'clock. Santos Laguna Puebla. Tudene has the match at 8. Mazatlan and Leon. Universo simulcasting Villa Newcastle. And they have Guadalajara Toluca at 10:05. DAZN has the quadruple header for Women's Champions League, 2 at 12:45, and 2 including PSG and Bayern Munich at 3 o'clock. ESPN Plus has Belgium at 2:30, German Cup at 2:45. Paramount Plus has Saudi Arabia, South Korea coming on. Actually, it's already underway. 5 games in the Argentine Primera starting at 3 o'clock. 3, 5:15 doubleheader, 7:30 doubleheader. Peacock has all the other games in the Premier League. Forest, Arsenal, Fulham, Everton, Luton, Brighton, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United. Roy Hodgson is on career dissipation watch, and Vix has your simulcast for Liga MX. Any other thoughts from your Tuesday, Jarrett, before we go?
No, not really. Just I guess, enjoy the week's games. And again, make sure that when you see something that's too good to be true, make sure it's from somebody who's real.
Yes. When it's too good to be true, it probably is. Nick, last thoughts before we go.
The magical words of social media. If it doesn't apply, scroll on by. A lot of people are out there trying to get your rage engagement. Don't give it to them. If it doesn't apply, scroll on by.
So,
ding, 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 ding.
yes, the more you know. So rage merchants are bad is what you're saying.
Rage merchants are bad, and they are, oh man, are they out in force right now.
Yes, they are. So that is it. Matty Cruz and the ones and twos. Thanks you as always. For Nick, for Jarrett, I'm just John. Thanks to all of y'all. Tomorrow, once again, Dylan Butler joining us at 10. Ian Cameron, head coach of South Georgia Tormenta, joining us at 10:30. Reminder, 6 o'clock, Creature Comforts in Athens. After the match with Atlanta United, Memphis 901, 6 to 8. Post-game show on right live with SDH. Creature Comforts Brewing in Athens. Be there. Book 'em Dano. Aloha. We'll be back at it again 9:05 tomorrow morning because that's what we do. See you in 21 hours and 58 minutes. And since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Much plot, y'all.